All right, everybody. Candace Owens' conspiracy theories are all falling apart, and it makes you wonder why there's been so much swirling around these theories and so much swirling around her podcast, the #1 podcast. And she's not the only one. There's a lot of people that have been talking crazy about the martyrdom of Charlie Kirk, and now the suffering of people that served him, worked for him, and of course, even his family, people going after his widow, his wife, Erica Kirk. We're going to get all into that and why I think a lot of those theories are going to be debunked and already have with one interview that happened or was released yesterday on the Shawn Ryan show. And of course, we have the Epstein files being released. Well, they're at least being voted on being released. But then you have the right side of the aisle saying, well, if we release them and don't redact them, there could be a lot of hurt and harm on people. So what's it going to be? What are we going to see? And what does this all mean? And of course, we will be getting into rapid fire news under the Political Pulpit Newswire. And this is just stuff that's happened all day long. And we're going to comment and get into all of that when we come right back.
We pray for love and unity, and that the church would find new zeal and commitment to the mission and purpose of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart.
Back on the program once again, this time on the late night owl broadcast, or the night owl broadcast as we call it. This is our opportunity to come to you late at night when you are probably settling in and getting ready to go to bed, getting ready for tomorrow. Remember, when you wake up tomorrow, command your day. Don't scroll, don't doom scroll. Get in the Word, pray to Jesus, and let him know that you are serving him today and nobody and nothing else. But before we do all of that, we wanted to put you all to, not to sleep, by the way. Don't fall asleep yet, because I know it's late and you get up early. But let's get into some of the crazy stuff that went on today. We have news. We have the Epstein vote that happened today in the Senate, passed unanimously, I guess. But then you have Republicans like the House. I can't think of his name. I have the video. I don't know why I can't think of that. Oh, Speaker Johnson. I'm sorry. Speaker Johnson goes out to say that, we're going to be careful with that because there are names and there's addresses and phone numbers, world leaders that are all in that. So there's a little bit of a panic there. But there are victims that need justice, and we want to know what's going on. And it looks like President Trump's doubling down on it. He did put out a truth today that was kind of weird, I guess. I'm not really sure. Sounded like he's saying, I want the Republicans to know that even though some bad stuff's going to come out, we've done some really good things for this country. That's how it sounded to me. We'll read through that together, and you guys let me know what you think, and we'll get into all of that. Before we do, be sure to get in the comments and like and share, and make sure that you are letting us all know where you're watching from, where you're listening from, and hit that subscribe button if you're watching from YouTube and other places. All right, I am working through some things here on our system here. And just, hopefully you guys can bear with us. There is a version that's going on. It's like the vertical version. So if I looked really too tight, y'all just let me know and we'll work through that. All right. And make sure you can hear me good. Looks all great. Okay. So I want to get into this. Let's show you all what I'm looking at today. This is what we're going to call a rapid fire. All right, so right now we have the left freaking out about a lot of stuff. Excuse the language, but this is a video I saw earlier today about it's that Bill Maher corrects Patton Oswalt. Now, Patton Oswalt is a gross human being, by the way. I know he's on a lot of movies. I think he was on King of Queens or something like that, but he's also been in the circles of like Epstein and on the plane, and he's also had other things going on that are pretty disgusting that are out circulating the news. And it's funny that he's showing his face now on this podcast and saying that, America's not mature enough because we're not following the Democratic agenda or the far left agenda, let's call it. Because I think the Democratic Party isn't your grandmother's Democratic Party anymore. This is much different, a little bit more crazier these days. But let's take a look. We'll have to scrub through this, like 2 minutes and 29 seconds, but we'll work through that.
It was the same thing with AOC. Remember when they found the damning video of AOC dancing and drinking with her friends on the roof at college? Or like, and this is a congressperson, and she looks so happy and beautiful and cool, and you're like, oh, they think this is ending her career because they never did this.
Yeah, but
they were never that comfortable to do this.
Yeah, and if she had some deprogramming, she could be such a fantastic candidate.
What do you mean deprogramming?
Well, she just doesn't, she's never going to resonate with people outside of the bubble that she lives in the very, very far left.
So this is where it gets crazy, because he talks about the bubble, which I talk about this a lot because there are bubbles on both sides, guys. A lot of times what happens is these politicians, they get sucked into whatever's fed to them, and they think that this is gospel for their constituents, but they end up getting stuck on the extreme side. And I think that's what happened to a lot of Democrats, especially this person who is living in a bubble and realizes the country doesn't think this way. Keep going.
Well,
And that, I mean, the New York Times, of all people, the people I've been like squabbling with for the last 7, 8, 10 years, whatever, when I was all about, Democrats have gone too far left, they just put out a huge editorial basically saying exactly what I've been saying.
what, that she's too far left?
Yes, and that the only way the Democrats will ever win again, not that the Republicans are probably going to give it back, is to be more moderate. But we don't have to argue about her. I mean, she has.
If people think she's too far left, then that shows another way this country's broken right now.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily broken in that way, but it just shows how the country is not there. That is not where the country is, and if you don't,
Unfortunately,
And if you-
that's the one thing, and I hate to admit this. This country is not as mature as it thinks it is. We elected Obama, and clearly the country freaked out. We're still living in that freak out. We are not as progressed and evolved and intelligent as we think we are.
All right, we're going to pause right there because they're talking about this freak out thing, this freak out moment that people have had. And yes, it has been a massive freak out. What are you guys talking about? Honestly, it's been crazy freaking out because there is been a lot of instances where we're in a mode where if somebody believes something else, they go completely violent. They go completely crazy and start screaming like children, throwing tantrums, throwing things. And there's a lot of violence that's happening between both. I mean, let's be honest. You don't hear a lot of people on the right side, especially the Christian conservative side, going AWOL and going violent on Democratic talking heads. Whatever reason, on the liberal left, or the far left, let's call it, the far, far crazies. We're talking about like purple, pink, blue hair, netting for clothes, and all kinds of metal throughout your face and extremities and whatever else is going on. They get crazy. Furries is just like a whole other conversation that I don't even want to get into too much, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It's bananas. And so let's finish this video because it's already crazy. Take a look.
Because we keep freaking out about this stuff.
Well, the left freak out too. The left freaked out about a lot of bullshit too.
No,
What did they freak out about?
Gender,
We gotta figure
race,
out how to bleep that.
parenthood, schools, homelessness,
Hold on. This is the
crime,
stuff.
race,
Take a look. This is the
parenthood.
stuff.
The left freaked out about a lot of bullshit too.
What did they freak out about?
Gender, race, parenthood, schools, homelessness,
Okay.
crime, the border, education.
All right, let's just stop there because I believe, and you guys tell me what you all think, 5 institutions given by God are this. 5 institutions given by God is excuse me, is family, marriage, church, government. And these are institutions that are extremely important. These are institutions that are designed by God so that we could live, so that we could understand what it's like to live in a moral society, so we could live in a moral society. And this is the reason why Satan is always attacking these things. The institution of marriage, the institution of family, the institution of church, of government. And I'm missing one more. I don't know why I keep forgetting the last one. If you know it, send the comments. I'm spacing out today. But you all know what I'm saying. You all know that we are under attack spiritually and also in culture, where there's a culture war. There's wokeism. They don't want you to go to church. Satan doesn't want you to worship him in spirit and truth. They don't want you to assemble. And if you do go to a church, they start throwing, depends on where you go. There's that in the middle that doesn't get involved. There's that right side who does get involved. And I think every church needs to get involved, but vote your values, vote your biblical principles. It's life, by the way. It's, giving life to the innocent. All these things are under attack. And even somebody like Bill Maher is saying they went crazy. They went absolutely crazy on things that the rest of the country is not in line with. Therefore, they lost. And if they continue to go down this path, they're going to lose. Let's keep going. All right, so Chris Cuomo, we all know who he is. That's brother of former Mayor Andrew Cuomo. Says Chris Cuomo calls out the Democrats and excuses for not releasing the Epstein files under the Biden administration. So we're going to get into all this right now. Left is saying it's all about the victims. I don't buy it. It wasn't about the victims. Let's talk about transparency. Let's take a look.
Left is saying it's all about the victims. I don't buy it. Okay? It wasn't about the victims wanting transparency and you wanting it for them during the Biden administration? Or before that, when like only two of you ever asked about it? Oh, wait, hold on. The Maxwell investigation was still going on. We couldn't release anything. Who's going to believe that? So no other investigation could go on of other people at the same time that Ghislaine Maxwell was being investigated? Really? Anyone supposed to believe that? Left is saying it's all about the victims. I don't buy it.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think
it wasn't about the victims wanting transparency and you wanting it.
The reason is because, like he said, there was many times where you could have, defended the victims. You could have went on a very, very long campaign for 4 years to release these files and protect the victims, but we didn't hear anything about it. I would say a lot of patriots have been crying out loud, and I don't mean like sobbing, I mean like fighting to get the message out. And that's what we were supposed to be doing, was getting these files released a long time ago. Honestly, what I think happened is there are people both on the left, on the right, very powerful economic powers involved, world leaders involved. And it was kind of like, well, if we do this, it's going to mess up the entire movement and everything that President Trump is working on for the American people. But now that they're going to say, especially the left is going to start trying to tie President Trump and others to it, they're saying, fine, let's do it. Let's see where the chips may fall. Let's see how this works out. And let's see what happens from here. Okay. And they voted. They did it. So we'll see. But then they're talking about redacting everything, which is crazy. And then you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, that is constantly in the news, who was like a she was like the patriot. She was the fighter, and she was on President Donald Trump's side and kissing the ring of the president and all that stuff. I've even got to, I met with her briefly at the White House for a quick photo or whatever it was. And you just kind of felt like she's on the right side until she goes on this crazy campaign talking about Israel, talking about the president and the Republican dismantling and division and all that stuff. And now she's on The View, she's on CNN, and what's crazy is the opposite side of the aisle is using her as an example, and she's all for it. It makes me wonder if. You never know with these politicians, guys. You just never know. But let's take a look at what she says on this clip here.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files, but the real fight will happen after that.
Okay, so she's probably right. There's going to be a massive fight after this, and it's going to cause chaos. We already know it is. I think everybody's kind of bracing for it, but we're going to get into the next video that's coming up where the Speaker of the House is saying, well, if we do this, this could cause problem for the victims. You know, it seems suspect to me. You know, I think people on both sides are squirming, and they're worried that it's going to get really bad, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's take a look, because they did vote. It says, breaking, the Senate has unanimously voted to release all the Epstein files, and it now heads to President Trump's desk. So let's see what happens. They went ahead and voted on it. Let's take a look.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over.
Is there an objection?
All right, it's repeating over and over. We know what happened. No objection. It got voted. It passed. Now it goes to the president's desk, and he's probably going to do a press conference as he does that. It says House moves forward with censoring Democrat Stacey Plaskett after her texts with Epstein plotting against President Trump were exposed. You have 2 yeas, 214 nays, and 211 yeas. So totals 213 to 214. And it passed. All right, whatever. We'll see what happens. Okay, so this is what the president says. President Trump on the bill to release all of the Epstein files. I don't care when the Senate passes the House bill, whether tonight or at some other time in the near future. He goes on to say, I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off all the victories. Okay, this is where he says that. I just don't want Republicans to take their eyes off the victories that we've had, including the great, big, beautiful bill, closed borders, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, having trillions of dollars invested in the U.S., having created the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on the shutdown. Make America great again. Well, we'll see what happens. I feel like that's a little bit like, hey guys, when this comes out and it's going to be bad, just remember what we've done that's good. You know, I don't know. I could be reading into that, but what do I know? I can't expect it to be good because you know he was a bad man. He was a pervert of a man, and there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of male, blackball, whatever they call it. All that stuff was going on. And this is what I was talking about with Speaker Johnson, Speaker of the House Johnson. You guys tell me what you think in the comments about this.
National security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies. National security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified...
That's not the whole video, but he goes on to talk about the dangers of releasing everything. And that's kind of where I'm like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how dangerous it can be. Everything's already messed up. I mean, you know what he was up to. And it sounds kind of like a little bit, you know, nervous. What do I know? I don't know all the laws and stuff, but I just feel like for the peace of mind and the American people, taxpaying, the victims, all those that have been on all eyes on Epstein files, there needs to be transparency. And listen, if you did bad things, there's some tough consequences for you, regardless of who you are. But I go as far to believe or say that it's a lot of the expected people that were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. All right, so we're going to move on from that a little bit, unless you guys got more to say. Y'all let me know in the comments. Breaking in a remarkable exchange, Trump convinces Saudi Arabia to nearly double its U.S. investments to $1 trillion. That seems crazy. You guys take a look there. I'm going to play it in just a second.
We create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the 600 million will be 1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing will facilitate that.
I like that very much. No, that's great. I appreciate that. That's great. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever done. And in all fairness, if you didn't see potential in the U.S., you wouldn't be doing it.
Definitely.
You don't want to lose money.
As you said, Mr. President, it's the most hottest country in the planet. But what you're creating is not... We create a lot.
All right, so there you go. He's going to invest nearly double, which is $1 trillion. Let's see it happen. I'm praying for great things to happen. I'm praying for more money to come in through this country so that we can have cheaper prices and bring inflation down and get out of debt, which is probably not realistic. But hey, let's make a dent. Let's get some money coming back to the country. We pay way too much money to our allies. It's important and very imperative that they start paying their fair share, as the President Donald Trump always says. And could this be the art of the deal? Who knows? I don't know. I hope so, because we need something to happen. Something. Prices are still crazy, by the way. And I know it takes time, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at this video. This is a Democrat video that's just released saying, don't listen to Pete Hegseth, telling the military, y'all be careful. Don't listen to this guy. Don't listen to your commander-in-chief. I don't know if that's a good message to be saying out to everybody. Take a look.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
That trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Like, y'all, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to say, oh, that's an illegal order. They're going to try to convince people to say the president can't do that, so military should stop. But what are they preparing for? What do they know that we don't know? Is something coming up, or is this like, because we've had war on drugs. They're bombing these ships that are flying through international waters that are loaded with drugs, and then you have the cartel president of Mexico, Sheinbaum, or whatever her last name is, saying that it's illegal to combat or to go to war with the cartels. That in itself is bananas, you guys. Insane. And I am like shocked. I'm shocked that she would say something like that. So maybe President Trump was just asked about that earlier today. Would you be opposed to going to war with cartel members inside of Mexico? And he says, I'm fine with it. Now, of course, there's also things that need to take place. And I don't think we'll actually do that, because then that does, I don't know, maybe violate some sort of like war, something, these laws again, these international war laws or whatever they're called. So to ask or to try to tell your president, or I'm sorry, your military, your U.S. military, to not listen to the commander in chief, that sounds like, just like what one of our comments says, sounds like treason. You're absolutely right. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. How do you put out a video asking your military to not listen to the president? And they usually try to use scare tactics and say, well, you can't do that, Mr. President, because it is illegal. And then you're going to start saying and putting out more videos and saying, the president's committing an illegal act, so you shouldn't follow the president. That's treason. All right. Now, I've been waiting to get into this one because, you guys, President Donald Trump and many others were very good friends with Charlie Kirk, including Kash Patel, including Kash Patel, including many others that are in Pete Hegseth. There are many others in right now that are in office that were friends with Charlie. They loved him dearly. And, when I see all these conspiracy theories going out, and you kind of have to stop watching them, because it's like, man, if you sit there and listen to all of it, you start to believe some of that stuff, right? Like, you start to wonder, like, wait a minute, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something that could be right. Like an exploding, I don't know, microphone or a handheld pistol that's kind of like a hand shot of some sort that doesn't look like a regular pistol. Because of the entry wound and no exit wound, you start to kind of get confused a little bit. And then you got people like Candace Owens. I'm just going to say it. Man, she's all over the place, from being anti-Semite, talking about, Charlie was anti-Israel and turning on the Jews and becoming Catholic. I think this woman is obsessed with him in a weird way. Or she just wants the clicks and the attention to her podcast, because she just became the #1 podcast. And so I'm just going to, I don't know. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. All right. So let's see. This country has the greatest in the 40s and 50s. That was the greatest generation. The Democrats ruined everything with woke age of consent in voting laws. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Before we move on, thank you for putting that. Beach also says, my grandfather was 26 when he married my grandmother, and she was 14, and who fought in the World War II. That's when this country was the greatest. Trump is going to end woke age of consent. Well, you know what? I don't know about all that. If he does, if he doesn't. I know people got married a lot younger. Even some of my family members way back when got married super young. But then, if you start lowering the age to vote, man, we're really in trouble, because kids can't figure things out at that age. They're so driven by emotion, and they're driven by nonsense. I mean, they watch something on TV and all of a sudden they're like, furries, or if they watch a series on Netflix these days or some other streaming service, they become they can't get through a metal detector because they got metal sticking out of their body all over the place. Anyways, but that's some, because I honestly, if I really chill out for a second, there's been a huge awakening in young people. So it's not all young people, but there is a woke generation out there that we're trying to fight, and it's really a spiritual battle. All right, let's get back to Charlie's thing and Candace Owens. Shawn Ryan had a show, an episode that was released yesterday, and I had a chance to watch most of it, and I was watching some of the clips today, and I was a little bit kind of trying to read. I'm not at all a facial expression reader, or I can't say that I understand all that stuff, or some sort of psychologist. Not at all. But trying to use discernment, like, all right, how is this guy? Was he equipped for the job that he had? Did they do the right thing? And honestly, I truly, if you guys go back and watch it on the Shawn Ryan show, it looks like they did exactly what they were hired to do, plain and simple. Terrible that this happened on their watch, but it was Charlie Kirk's, and I think they're in a partnership with this. It was a security company they had started together, and so they were kind of friends. So to think that these guys were in on it, man, it's really messed up, because not only that, it ruins their lives. How are they going to get jobs when they're never going to be trusted again? They're the guys that were watching Charlie when he got assassinated and being accused of being part of Mossad or infiltrated by Israel and others that were after Charlie. Like, man, Candace is on a rampage, and people are watching it like it's the real deal, which is so sad. It's so sad, guys. Anyways, I can continue to rant on, and I probably shouldn't. Let's just get into it. Let's see what we have here. And sorry about my portrait view. If you guys are watching us on story or portrait view, we'll try to make it better. But here we go. It says, we told the chief there was student access to the roof pretty close to where Charlie would be set up. And he came back and said, I got you covered. But he never called us back. All they had to do was post anybody at that stairwell or let us do our job. Why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. So this guy, I think his name is Chief Lou or Sheriff Lou or something like that. He is the university sheriff. And he said, I got you guys covered on that rooftop. Well, there was nobody on that rooftop. You know who was on that rooftop? Tyler Robinson, the killer, as far as we know. And nobody did anything about it. So this is an 8-minute clip. We're not going to watch all of it all the way through, but I want you to hear some of this.
Why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers. I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered. We've called him. He's never called us back.
Holy shit. Would it be okay if we put that screenshot of that text up for everybody to see?
Okay, there it is. Let me zoom in.
So they know it's real?
Yeah, absolutely. And do a FOIA for his phone. We have some correspondence.
It's real?
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is. Okay, let me zoom in on this really quick. Boom. It says it right there. Oh, Chief Long. I said Lou. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is student roof access pretty close to where Charlie Kirk will be set up at Utah Valley. And they give the center, it's called the Sorensen Student Center. And it has a couple staircases that go up to the walkways on the roof. So you want to know how he got on that roof? He went through the stairwell. Like, they have video of him. And, you know, the guy says, you want access to the roof. This is Chief Long saying, you want access to the roof, ? I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if it's possible. This is where Candace should be asking, who made this mistake and who is Chief Long? Get a hold of that guy. She's over here chasing planes and flight logs of Erica Kirk, who is grieving the loss of her husband and raising his children by herself. flight logs of Erica Kirk. And Chief Long is the one that technically allowed somebody on the rooftop to shoot Charlie. And that's, to me, is actually the real problem. So, and then it says, I got you covered. Well, we obviously know that he didn't. All right, let's keep going.
And do a FOIA for his phone. We have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back, and his last correspondence was, I got you covered.
All right, so where was he? Where was the coverage? Where were the police on the rooftop? Can anybody answer that question? Why is people like Candace Owens obsessed with airplanes and Israel? And why aren't they going to like pull reports or request this FISA, report or whatever from the university? Why don't you get some of the court filings from that stuff? But you're like dragging on this conspiracy theory of exploding microphones and exploding hand pistols and tipping of the hat from Frank Turek and all of the crazy stuff that's going on. And you have someone that like Candace, who has a massive following, #1 podcast over this, by the way, who loves Charlie, and it was a true friend to Charlie, apparently, is not asking this question. How did he get on the roof? And, who allowed him? And you're telling me you didn't see him on the roof? It gets into it a little bit later about how they had a photo and they took pictures of the position that Charlie would be in. Let's take a look.
Have you been in who is that?
That was the chief of police for the UVU Police Department. We've called him. He's never called us back.
Holy shit.
He hasn't even called them back. Where's everybody at?
Does he have a name?
Yeah.
Chief Lou.
Chief Long.
Oh, Long. I keep
Chief
saying
Long.
And I didn't know if it said deputy in that or not, because in the
drone up or
let us
let you.
Okay, so this was the other thing. They were freaking out about drones. So somebody put in a small drone, and this whole segment about drones, we're not talking about the consumer drones. These guys, the military, police, SWAT, and even security teams, they fly giant drones. If you've ever seen them before, they're very, very big, and they have high-powered camera systems on them. And you're not gonna you can see it in the air. It's like a mini plane, basically. They weren't allowed to fly these drones, and they didn't have their own. So that's what this whole segment's about. Really quick, I'm gonna play this for a little bit, and you'll let me know in the comments what you think.
Or let us. Our team is built.
Would it be okay if we put that screenshot of that text up for everybody to see?
Absolutely.
So they know it's real?
Yeah, absolutely. And do a FOIA for his phone.
That's a good idea.
Do a FOIA. Do a FOIA for his phone and have those records put out so everybody can see them. Do a FOIA for the communications for days leading up to it. Do it. And the truth's like a lion. You set it free and it'll fight for itself.
One of my favorite sayings. Last question before we.
So that's a good point. Like, why aren't they're not asking the right questions is the problem. They're not asking the right questions. It's that simple. These conspiracy theories want to find some like mystery man in a hoodie and, like say, oh, aha, Israel has been the one in this whole time because they were mad at Charlie and because they let Tucker Carlson speak at AmFest, blah, 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 all this stuff. And the FBI. So I do got to say this. Let's be real here. The agencies haven't been forthright in the past. I get that. I don't blame people for asking questions. I'm not trying to sound like, the truth is the truth and he was shot by one person and he was radicalized and that was it. Here's what I think. I do think it's more than just Tyler Robinson. I think he was radicalized. I think there are more people involved. I think there was planning involved. I do think, unlike others were saying that Tyler wasn't even ever or has not ever stepped foot on the university, I 100% believe he was there. I believe he was there. I believe he's the one that took the shot. Now, how he was able to get on the roof, how he was able to get away and try to dispose of the weapon, those are still up for question. There's surveillance video on every inch of that university that we have yet to see. I really think at some point they should release some sort of like footage, right, of him taking the shot or setting up at least. Prove that it was him so that people can leave these poor, I won't say poor, but unfortunate members of Charlie Kirk's team alone. They're being doxxed, they're being followed, they're being threatened, their families are being threatened, their schools are being threatened, or people are going to their children's school. It's unreal what's happening to these people who were there working for Charlie. You would do a great service to these people and to the rest of the country and shut some of these other people up. You just kind of like release some of the stuff. I mean, come on. It's terrible what's happening to people that have lost their friend, people that were working for Charlie Kirk and were there to protect him. So this is the next tough part. I even tweeted about it, was able to get a hold of the video. And it basically says if the bullet had hit bone at all, there is no bullet. It's just fragmentation. It's a quite interesting take on this, right, guys? I mean, everybody's wondering, where's the bullet? What happened to the bullet? Was it a 30-06? Could it possibly have been a 30-06? Because if you shot anything close to that, there's massive damage when it comes to that bullet. So he goes on to say, it's just fragmentation. And the doctor told us the bullet came in, tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebrae, crushed it, and kept going down. So we haven't heard that before. And finally, we're getting some sort of answer to it. So I'm going to play some of that. And feel free to jump in the comments and let me know what you think.
I'm seeing that everybody's wanting them to find the bullet. I mean, if the bullet hit any bone at all, there is no bullet. It's just fragmentation.
Great point. And that was discussed already.
And if there was no exit wound in the autopsy, though, there should be. I mean, if there was no exit wound, then there should be fragmentation of the bullet would have fragmented into who knows how many pieces.
The doctor, and again, this is not a non-disclosure violation, but the doctor came out there and told us. And then they also told chief of staff. So the bullet came in and hit the vertebra. So it came in and then tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebra, crushed it, shattered it, turned, crushed the second one, turned, kept going down all the way, I think they said C6.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, why not put that info out? Why not put it out? And then
why wouldn't they put that out?
And if do me a favor, don't make me do it. It's not my job. And so then it got to here, and you're exactly right. And then hit, I think, 6, and then fragged. And so explanation 101. What are you hiding? Yeah. It's like I'm sitting back here when people are saying we bombed him or there's that wound. I'm like, hey, if somebody would, from an official capacity.
All right, so I want to stop there and talk about what he was saying, is that nobody is saying anything. Nobody's giving that information, except we've heard it for the first time. We heard it right there, something that's mind-blowing, because everybody wants to know where that exit wound was. If it was a 30-06, there'd be a lot of damage from, not just the entry wound, but all the way down. So something they didn't talk about was the angle of the shooter. Now, from where Charlie and the team was looking up towards that building, there's no way you would be able to see. I think they even talked about it just being a 7-foot window, something crazy like that. You'd have to be at the right place at the right time, which is also crazy, by the way, to make that shot. It's 140 yards, not a difficult shot, but for somebody that is not trained, just a 7-foot window at that angle, it's actually a very difficult shot. So, that's just my opinion. I'm not no professional shooter. If you are, let us know what you think about that. But man, the angle, the drop, once it hits the body, hits the bone, it continues to travel down to 6 vertebrae and destroys the spine. And that's where the fragments of the bullet went. And that's where we have not heard that before. That should retire Candace Owens. You know what I mean? Like, she needs to stop, because she has no idea what she's talking about.
He would just release that. I don't see how that could jeopardize a fair trial for a guy. And or somebody call the doctor.
Yeah.
Somebody just call him.
Like, seriously, how hard is that? Somebody call the doctor.
This
Call the
guy,
hospital.
George Zen.
Candace.
Are you familiar with this guy?
Jeez.
Is he the one that said...
He is the performance immediately after the shooting. I believe he was saying that he had the shooter. He's also a witness to 9/11, called to the bomb threat in Salt Lake City marathon. I mean, he seems to show up at a lot of historic
incidents, right? And then gets arrested, and then later gets arrested for child porn after that. And so that was a weird deal, because that came to us at the hospital. Hey, they have somebody in custody. And I'm like, awesome.
All right, really quick. I want to talk about that for a little bit. Let's get full of conspiracy here with this one. This is where it gets weird, right? How does one person involved in many tragedies be on location and very involved? This is where I think it's safe to think that it's not just one person involved. I really do think there are more people. I don't know that I want to go as far as saying it's a government involved. I don't think it's that. It just doesn't, because Charlie's movement was huge for the country. It still is. And he's changed a generation of people. But it's not like he's affected, international wartime tariffs. I know he's had influence in our government, but it's not like he's changing, how we deal with this government and that government. Where you got, I think the next one is, you have Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk. You have, Israel all of a sudden saying, we don't like Charlie anymore, when he was just with Bibi Netanyahu, and saying, how much he loved the Holy Land of Israel. He's on record so many times talking about how we should preserve the Holy Land, because if we don't, it's being ripped from us out of our history books and not allowing us to even visit the holy sites anymore. He's been on record saying this over and over. So it's not like Israel's going to say, you know what? Let's get rid of this guy. Let's just do away with it. I mean, come on. It's so ridiculous on a lot of this stuff. But anyways, the question should be that, why is this guy in every, the Boston Marathon whole bombing thing, and then he's here, and then he's in other instances of tragedy and mass killings? That's weird. What does he know? What does this guy know what's going on? Are they part of some like internal network? Because there's a lot of crazies out there. There's like these little cells, these little movements. You got on the right, it's like QAnon, that whole thing. And on the left, I can't imagine what they got. You even got like Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. There's these pockets of people that are a little bit crazy. So what group are they part of? Those are the questions that these guys should be asking. Let's keep going.
And then our guys helped hold that perimeter area while they were arresting him. And I want to say they held on to some gear or something. I'd have to double check with them. But they were there assisting the police for that because they're still in there holding the crime scene. Yeah, and so how did this guy get there? And they did the search warrant on his house and they released it. It's like, hey, dump his phone and release that too.
Mm-hmm.
Dump the tower information and release that too. I want to see who he was talking to 2, 3, 4, 5 days beforehand. I want to see what towers hit. Yeah, I want to see that. Yeah, I want to know, who is this guy? Why is he around
all these things?
All these things.
Yeah. Why is he around all these things?
What questions do you have?
All right, so that's
you had some good questions
that's
about
a lot of it, but the biggest one was, I think, when we talk about that bullet, that's the one that really struck me as odd. I started thinking, somebody got him with like a 22 or a 9 in close range. I thought it was somebody in the crowd, but the more you stay away from it and don't get in that bubble, I guess common sense just starts to creep in the way it should, right? And you start thinking sensibly and you start to realize, like, okay, I think here's the other thing. It could have been a jacked up bullet in an old rifle. And guns do weird things. I've seen a gun shoot and lodge in a bullet, which is very dangerous because that could explode in your hand, but jam up a gun where a bullet doesn't make it all the way out of a barrel because of a bad round. That's also a possibility. We won't know until we get some sort of reports out of, when the case is closed, I guess, or when evidence is presented. There's a lot of factors. I do want to believe, though, that God preserved the people behind Charlie Kirk. Unfortunately, Charlie had to go. God called him home. What's sickening to me is that you have Candace Owens and others that continue to act ridiculous and start now attacking Erica Kirk. This woman is a widow. The true pain in her eyes. You have to be really numb or really dumb to not see that she's going through it and she's having a very, very, very difficult time. This gentleman here talks about the pain that he witnessed. I don't know if that I could even find it, but I know what that sounds like. And he basically says that the cry, the scream that he heard from her mouth when she walked in that hospital and operating room where Charlie Kirk laid dead on the operating table was horrific. And I know what that sounds like because I've been there before. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I don't know how, to me, somebody that's really obsessed, really disgusted, demented, and going off their rocker, I think there's something spiritually happening to her, or there's just this passion for greed, power, and moving up in the ranks in the podcast world, I guess, that you're willing to go way too far. Way too far. She's starting to ask questions and leading people on to the next podcast and to the next podcast. At some point, if this video this is a really, really good, you guys go watch this because it's really good. I mean, at first I was like, he's pretty nervous. He's pretty kind of, doesn't seem like he was getting his answers out well, but I mean, he's experienced some crazy trauma. I mean, talking about packing a wound, they use like 30 feet of gauze and wound packing to stop the bleeding, and it still didn't stop. He talks about turning Charlie over to look for an exit wound. There was no exit wound. You're hearing it from the man's mouth. Like, why would he sit there and lie? Why would he come on a world-renowned show, Shawn Ryan, and lie about this in front of the American people, knowing very well that there's the autopsy report's going to come out. There's stuff on record in the court docs that's going to come out. They're going to ask him questions. He's probably going to take the stand. And you think he's going to lie under oath and destroy his career and his family? Like, guys, come on. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what people will do for more power and apparently more clicks. So here's his testimony in the beginning. So take a look at this. This is one they do this like little coming up clip, and yeah, it's pretty crazy to hear him talk about it this way.
And just was on him almost face to face. And then when I was doing that, I went down, I could see the wound. It squirted through my fingers and I could taste it on my lips. And so I was like, man, this is a bad wound, right? And so when I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life.
That's the part, guys.
Why is the First Amendment so important?
Because that hits you hard when you watch this episode with Shawn Ryan and head of security here. I keep forgetting his name. You guys will just look it up. Where he talks about the doll's eye. You know, I'd never heard it in that term, but that's how it looks. If you've seen it, when someone just passes, that's fairly young, the doll eyes is the look, and he saw that immediately. We're talking within 5 to 10 seconds of being on top of Charlie to protect him from further gunfire and to medically treat him, because he's trained to treat wounds such as that. And we're talking about him seeing that doll eye look within seconds. That tells us that Charlie was instantly killed and by a large weapon, so much so that the angle caused the bullet to travel not even through the first portion of his spine, but go all the way through his spine and then fragment in a second. And he hears the impact. So, man, just talk about that being tough. It's tough to watch, it's tough to hear, and it's tough to see some really, excuse my French, but dumb people use it for clicks. All right, so they talked. I won't get too much into this because it's crazy. It's crazy to think that this is a thing, and I get it though. Like it's an assassination. People want answers, and we don't have them yet. But I think this is pretty close to some really good answers. He goes on to say, they said the hat adjustment was a sniper signal, but nobody wears ball caps in a lot of sniper operations. And we didn't use hand signals that day other than general come here or point to location. And I think there's one more thing. I'm trying to think what else he talked about. No, actually, I'm pretty sure that was it. All right. So getting into all of that craziness, you know, keep your head on straight, use discernment, pray for Charlie Kirk's family, guys. Like, man, I can't imagine the pain. Seeing his parents at the White House, seeing his mom and his dad, just the pain in their eyes of losing their son before he's anything to anybody else. He was their son. And you go back to think of like their childhood moments, their vacations, homework with Charlie, what that was probably like, helping him get to school and not getting accepted into the college that he hoped, all that stuff. That's the stuff that I think about. And he was fighting for something greater than himself. And he knew what was at stake because he talked about it many times and many times over. And he knew that at some point they were going to come after him, and it was just a matter of time. And we just pray that God strengthens Erica. We are praying for Erica. We're praying for his children. We're praying for his parents. And whatever God has for Turning Point, we just pray that they continue down the right path. And that's the path of biblical righteousness. There's always some nefarious stuff going on, guys. There's always stuff within organizations. There's always politics. But we just hope that his legacy continues to live on and people honor his legacy. Y'all should just leave him alone. Leave his name alone. Honor the Kirk family. Honor his legacy. And for those that really want answers, this is a good step in the right direction. You guys, that Shawn Ryan episode, you are going to get a lot of answers. I hope that we've shared some of them with you and you get it and you understand it, and try not to go too far off into that rabbit hole, because it's going to take you for a long ride that you just start believing crazy stuff. I do think there is a higher power, not the highest power, but there are higher powers that wanted this to happen. I don't think Tyler was alone. This Robinson kid was alone. I think there's other people involved, but I don't think it's governments. That's just my opinion. You guys can hate me for it. But, you know, it is what it is. All right. So that's all we have for today. I want you guys to continue to like, share, follow our movement, Political Pulpit. Get on social media, like and share it. And no, Selena's Review, don't stop asking questions. Just don't get crazy with them. You know, like, let's ask the right questions. I'll go ahead and share that with everybody. Yes, ask questions, but let's ask the right ones and stay focused. But until next time, we'll see you guys back on the Political Pulpit. We'll see you tomorrow evening around the same time, hopefully a little bit earlier. But make sure that you like, share, hit that follow button, and we'll see you guys again on tomorrow.